Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to have a somewhat unusual video. I like to teach and inspire and tell you about how to live this way, but today we're going to talk about something kind of totally unrelated to living in a nomadic life. We're going to talk about death, which is, not a very cheerful subject. I believe death is the single most important topic that a human being can address. I think dealing with the fear of death, which is really at the very core of nearly all of us, we push it down so far, and in our society, in Western civilization, we hide death. It's everywhere around us, but we hide it, so it has nothing to do with us. Death has no part of my life. I don't see dead people. I don't see the dying very often. I've only had a few experiences with death and dying directly in my entire life. And seeing someone dying, seeing a dead body, most of us see few and far between. We hide ourselves as much as we can away from death so it's not a part of our life. And that leaves us very much the poorer for it. Death is so important in our lives, and I believe we need to make an ally and a best friend and embrace death. That's the way to have our very best life. The reason I'm bringing this up now is a good friend of mine died. I'm a good friend with Wayne Weirs, who lives in a Nissan NV 2500. In fact, I have a video up. And I'll put a link to it in the description, of him living in his Nissan, and you can go see him in his video. He has a website, and his website is all about spiritual things. He is a deeply, profoundly spiritual person, mainly Eastern philosophy and enlightenment and oneness and meditation and that sort of thing, and that fits in. I'm a deeply spiritual person as well. I know I don't talk about it here, and some of you are not aware of it, but I am a deeply spiritual person. A day came in my life when I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood God, and that decision has been the most important thing I've ever done, and it is a decision that I must never waver on. Every day, that decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, as I understand God, which is probably completely different than any of yours, is the most important thing in my life. And I always, always, always try to make it a profound part of my life, intertwine it into the very fabric of my life. And so his spirituality is important. I followed his blog because he was a van dweller and because of his spirituality. And I had a lot of really good feelings for Wayne. We've been together. We get together on and off through the years. 2-3 times a year we'll see each other, and we're nomads. Our paths cross, and we email periodically. So I really like Wayne. I really like his ideas. He put out his last blog post. I'll put a link up to it on my description as well. He said he was taking his life. This was August 30th. He had it scheduled, which you can schedule blog posts and videos to come up whenever you want them to. He had it scheduled to come out on September 2nd when I got it, and he said he had taken his life. He said he's had some real medical issues involving extreme pain, and he was so settled in his spirituality and in his awareness of death and what was on the other side, that he had made the decision long ago that if life was just unpleasant, he would move on, because he believed 100% firmly in reincarnation, as do I. I'm a 100% believer in reincarnation. And he would just come back and start over again and do it better this time, hopefully, and build on his last life. That's the idea of brought up thoughts in my mind about death and the importance for a very long, because death is so important to me. And embracing death and making it your ally is so important to me. I've done a lot of study on it. I've done a lot of meditation on it. It has touched my life profoundly. And I don't know if I'm capable of telling you about that. It would take a very long time. This could be a very long video. I'll have to talk for a while, cut it, and then when I see it in the other room and think, I just can't say that, I've got to cut it out, it might be a little choppy. I just don't know what this is going to be. I can't even formulate what's going to happen on this video in my mind. And so it might be long too, and I hope you will just pause it or stop and come back and go back and forth and chew on it and think about it and curse me or bless me or whatever it is you need to do. So death is very, very important to me, extremely important, and I believe it should be important to you. I believe you cannot live your best life without embracing death. Death is the core to a good life. And one of my great heroes in life is Elisabeth Kubler-Ross. She spent her entire life studying death. Elisabeth Kubler-Ross was the first to study death, say, well, let's find out what death and dying is like. And she didn't do that in an academic way. She sat at the bedside of dying people. She held the grieving. That is how she spent her whole life. There is no one that knows as much about death, both biologically, because she's a medical doctor, and spiritually, because she was a profoundly spiritual person, and psychologically, because she was a trained PhD in psychology and taught psychology all of her life, and then would do this study on death and dying, and that's her most famous book. She has many books, but her most famous book is On Death and Dying. She was the first to realize and see, although it should have been fairly obvious, the 5 stages of grief. So if you've ever heard of or used the 5 stages of grief, Elisabeth Kubler-Ross invented that. So we're going to look at some quotes. I'll put them on the screen and I'll read them and I'll maybe elaborate on them. I just think that I've learned so much from her, and I think she's changed my life, and I think she'll change. This is one of my very favorite quotes from Elisabeth Kubler-Ross. She said, "It is very important that you only do what you love to do." And that is so true. We don't do anything we love to do. I bet in your life you can look back on the last 20 years and said, how many things have you done that you just love to do? And you would have a hard time listing them off. 2 weeks out of the year you went on vacation and did something you wanted to do. A few hours at night after work you did a few things you love to do. The vast majority of your time, for most of us, is doing things we don't want to do. We don't even like. A few people love their work, and they're the lucky ones, and there aren't many of you around. After sitting with thousands of dying people and their families, the one thing Elisabeth Kubler-Ross learned is to do the things you love to do, and then you'll have a good death. And she says that. You may be poor, you may go hungry, you may lose your car, you may have to move into a shabby place to live, but you will totally live. Now think about that. She's describing me, and she's describing what I'm offering to you. Yes, you won't live as well as you did if you worked for work, if you lived for work. But you'll love what you do. You will die with no regrets. Instead, we live for money and for work and to be valuable because of what work we do, and we die full of regrets. We die having never lived. And so she says, if you live your life, you will not die with regrets. Yes, you may have less. You will probably have less. If you don't live your life by the brainwashing of society for money and for accumulation and for things, then yes, you will not have as much, but you'll die happy. You'll live happy, you'll die happy. You see, those two go together. If you live happy, you'll die happy. If you live doing nothing you love, you will die unhappy. And that has been her experience and what she's sharing with us. And she says that. And at the end of your days, you will bless your life. You will look back and say, yeah, I didn't have a great car, I didn't have a lot of stuff, but I had a great life. I had a great life. That's what counts. That's why you live for your deathbed. I live for my deathbed. The last 5 minutes of my life, I want to look back and say, man, I had a good life. Yeah, I didn't have so much stuff. But boy, the memories and the life I had, that's what counts to me. And at the end of your days, you will bless your life because you have done what you came here to do. Otherwise, you will live your life as a prostitute. I've given that sentence a lot of thought. What does she mean, you will live your life as a prostitute? You'll live your life by selling yourself out to others to use and abuse. And that's what living in corporate America is. You've sold your soul, you've sold your body, you've sold your time to the corporations to use as they see fit, and they give you money in exchange. That's living your life as a prostitute. You don't live for yourself, you don't do what makes you feel good, you don't live by your own integrity, by your own motivations in life. You live solely by the motivations of your corporate masters. You live as a prostitute. And what you're going to die a poor death. And now she's going to say that. Otherwise, you will live your life as a prostitute. You will do things only for a reason to please other people. If I please you, you will love me. If I don't please you, you won't love me. If I please you, you'll give me money and I can buy all these things and that will make me happy, which of course it does not. It's never made anyone happy. So you're living to please other people, to earn their love, or because of your fear of death. And so because you're afraid of death, you got to get money and you got to accumulate things and have all these things and all this money around you. Otherwise, death will get you. You have to have health insurance or else you're going to die. You have to have the best car or else you're going to die. You can't go out and be in the woods or else you're going to die. A snake will get you, a bear will get you. You're controlled by death. So you sell your soul to your corporate masters and you stay at home like they want you to, and you never live. And then you die a very unhappy death. Otherwise, you will live your life as a prostitute. You will do things only for a reason to please others. And you will never have lived, and you will not have a pleasant death. Now again, this is a woman who spent her whole lifetime sitting around people watching them dying. And she saw people that did this, lived for others, lived for the things, and they did not have a pleasant death. My goal is to live my life so that the last 5 minutes of my life are the best they can possibly be. On my deathbed, I can smile through the pain, through the discomfort, through whatever's going on, through the fear. There will be fear of what's on the other side. There always is. I can smile through all that and said, what a life I've had. I've been happy. I've brought happiness to others. Let me say that again. I've been happy. I've done the things that make me happy. And I lived my life for others. I inspired people. I motivated people. I taught people how to live and have a better life. I'm going to go to my deathbed. On my deathbed, I'll smile and be glad. And because I live this way now, I'm happy. And I make other people's happy. And I'm going to have a happy death. And to me, that's everything in life, right there. I've just described the best things in life. Now here's another Elizabeth Kubler-Ross quote that I love. It is only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on earth and that we have no way of knowing when our time is up, that we will begin to live each day to the fullest as if it was the only one we had. Now, most of us give lip service to that idea that we're going to die. We don't ever really get in touch with my moment of death. And I did. I have spent a lot of time in meditation on my death. In fact, the Buddha, the literal Buddha who started Buddhism, would take his disciples and they would go to graveyards and they would dig up graves and they would meditate around the dead body. There's a thing called a death meditation in Buddhism. So Buddhism embraces death. It says death is a natural part of life and you cannot live life until you've embraced death. And that's what I've done in my life. I'm not a Buddhist. I very much have tried to adopt Zen as a part of my life, as a philosophical part of my life, a practical part of my life. But I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not part of the Buddhist religion in any way, shape, or form. But I do embrace and meditate on my own death. And I've given a lot of thought to my own death and thought about it, what's going to be like afterwards. And I've had some profound experiences meditating on my own death. And it's something I want to encourage all of you. Death meditation. I'm going to die. What is my death going to be like? What's going to happen after I'm dead? Who's going to miss me? Who's going to be at my deathbed? Who's going to mourn me? What will they say about me at my death? These are things I've given a lot of thought to. Everything I do revolves around the last 5 seconds before I die. Or my last 5 conscious seconds. Maybe I won't be conscious when I die. My last 5 conscious seconds before I die. And how are people going to react when I'm gone? And so there are people haters who love to write me and hate me and tell me all the horrible things I've done and I'm doing and how no good I am. There's always those. Those people really need to get in touch with their own death and think about the last 5 seconds of their death and their autobiography and who's going to miss them after they're gone. And what are people going to say after they're gone? You folks who are out there hating right now and wondering what you're going to write me and say, or writing Carolyn and tell her what you're going to say, think about what's going to happen after your death. Well, I've given a lot of thought to what will happen to me after my death. And everything I do is involving what are people going to say. And I have one goal, that as many people as possible, thousands, tens of thousands, will hear of my death, like I heard of Wayne's, and say, I'm sorry he's gone. I'll miss him. He was a good one. If you can say that about me, the more people that can say about that about me, the better of life I will have had. That will be the measure of the quality of my life. Have you ever measured the quality of your life? That will be the measure of the quality of my life. The most people possible think when I'm dead, when they hear, did you hear Bob died? Will think, oh, I'm so sorry. He was a good one. He will be missed. He helped me. That will be a good life. That's why I live for the last 5 conscious seconds of my life. And I'm very glad that I do, and I would encourage you to do the same. One more thing, one more deeply profound spiritual influence in my life is Native American spirituality, in particular the Lakota beliefs. And in the Lakota peoples, they have a saying that today is a good day to die. And in nearly all Native Americans, they live for the moment to make today something they will never regret. Today was such a great day, and I lived so well. I lived to be happy and to make others happy. And therefore, at my moment of death, the last 5 conscious seconds of my life, I will not regret anything. And so today is a good day to die. And that is my goal in life, that today would be a good day to die. I've lived so well yesterday and today. Now, there are always regrets. There will be things I wish I had done, things I wish I hadn't done. That's never going to change. Each of us has those. But today can be a good day to die. So I'm struck by Wayne's death. That is actually my plan for my life. People ask me all the time, well, Bob, what are you going to do when you can't live as a nomad anymore, when you can't take care of yourself? I'm going to do exactly what Wayne did. Now, Wayne took his life because of these medical issues, physical issues that were putting him in profound pain. He was so spiritually contented with his life that today was a good day to die. And here was a really good reason, because he didn't want to live the rest of his life in this kind of pain. So he took his life. He knew it was on the other side. He knew it was just going forward. It was simply a transition to a better life. Whatever was next will be better. Not that this is bad, but because it will be next. It will be the next logical step and conclusion in his spiritual journey. And the next step in a spiritual journey is always a good thing. Progress, not perfection, is always a good thing. And so he was gladly able to say, today's a good day to die. I will die today. I'll put an end to the pain I'm going through. I'll put it in through the suffering. And today was a good day to die. That's my plan for my life. When I can't take care of myself, when I'm in pain, when I'm becoming, whatever happens to me in my old age and my sickness, when it becomes too hard to bear, today will be a good day to die. Every day is a good day to die. And one day I will say that and say, okay, I will die today. And I'll simply die. And I will transition into whatever is next. And do I know what's next? I don't. Of course not. But I know it's something good, because spiritual progress is always good. And I'll go gladly. If you embrace death and make it your ally in life, your number one ally in life, you will have the best possible life you can have and the best possible death you can have. That will be the byproduct of one and the other.